Hello everyone. Have you ever imagined that a simple pulse crop, one that looks almost identical to your everyday lentil, could silently paralyze thousands of young men living in drought stricken villages? Let us explore this hidden tragedy together, the story of Lathyrism and the painful trade off between survival and health. This condition has a long and documented history. As far back as 460 to 377 before Christ, Hippocrates himself recorded the paralytic effects caused by the grass pea. In ancient India, this same effect was documented in the Ayurvedic text known as Bhava Prakasham. Later, in the 19th century, an Italian physician named Cantani officially coined the term Lathyrism. Even in the modern era, this disease remains endemic to drought prone regions across Asia and Africa, primarily affecting impoverished young men between the ages of 15 and 45, especially concentrated in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia. To understand why this disease continues to persist, we must look at what can be called the vicious cycle of poverty. It begins with climatic stress, where severe droughts and famines systematically destroy standard cereal crops and eliminate the primary food supply. Into this gap steps a remarkably resilient crop, the Lathyrus sativus, commonly known as grass pea or Khesari Dal. This plant survives harsh conditions when all other foods fail, and it remains cheap, abundant, and protein rich. However, this very resilience becomes exploited. Under agrarian systems like the zamindari system, landlords often pay marginalized laborers in kind, using cheap and toxic grass peas instead of cash wages. With no alternative options left, the grass pea shifts from being a temporary famine supplement to becoming the primary daily staple, and this is precisely when it crosses the threshold of neurological toxicity. This cycle repeats itself again and again, and at its core, Lathyrism is fundamentally a disease of poverty and climate vulnerability, exacting a heavy physical toll simply for temporary survival. Now let us understand the toxic threshold itself. The grass pea seed has a characteristic triangular shape with a grey outer coloration, and once dehusked, it closely resembles the safe red gram or Bengal gram dal, making it difficult to tell apart. The real danger zone begins when this pulse makes up more than 30 to 50% of a person's total dietary energy. Combined with a duration of 2 to 6 months of continuous high volume consumption, this is when the toxicity gauge truly enters the danger zone. Let us now look at how this disease is classified through a diagnostic comparison. On one side, the toxin known as beta-ODAP or BOAA, chemically called beta-N-oxalyl amino L-alanine, comes from the plant Lathyrus sativus or grass pea. This causes the disease variant known as Neurolathyrism, which affects humans, and its primary mechanism is acting as a neuroexcitant through glutamate mimicry, causing irreversible degeneration of the spinal motor tracts. On the other side, the toxin known as BAPN or beta aminopropionitrile comes from a different plant, Lathyrus odoratus or sweet pea. This causes Osteolathyrism, which affects animals, and its mechanism involves blocking the enzyme lysyl oxidase, preventing the cross-linking of collagen and elastin, which weakens bones and blood vessels. It is also important to understand exactly how much exposure is required to breach the blood-brain barrier. On a safe diet, where grass pea makes up less than 25% of dietary energy, toxin levels in the bloodstream rise but remain safely below the blood-brain barrier threshold, even over 6 months. But on a famine diet, where reliance exceeds 30 to 50%, toxin concentration rises sharply, crossing the blood-brain barrier at around the 2 to 3 month mark. Only when the pulse is eaten in such large amounts over 2 to 6 months does the toxin BOAA successfully cross this barrier, triggering irreversible spastic paraparesis. So, what exactly happens inside the body once this barrier is breached? This is where excitotoxicity comes into play. Our motor neurons have receptors that are normally unlocked by glutamate, a natural excitatory chemical acting like a true key. But the toxin present in grass pea, known as ODAP, structurally mimics glutamate and acts like a fake key. It forces these motor neuron receptors open and relentlessly overstimulates the nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord until they eventually burn out and die. This destruction follows a very specific anatomical pattern. Interestingly, the sensory nerves are spared, the upper limbs are spared, the trunk muscles are spared, and sphincter control is also spared. But the damage is targeted precisely at the central motor pathways controlling the lower limbs, causing sclerosis and degeneration there. Breaching the blood brain barrier itself requires 2 or more months of heavy, continuous consumption for the toxin to accumulate to dangerous levels. Once this damage begins, patients pass through 5 clinical stages, which we can call the staircase of decline. In stage 1, called latent, the person appears to have a healthy posture with an ungainly gait only appearing under physical stress, and at this point, complete remission is still possible if the toxic pulse is immediately withdrawn. In stage 2, called no stick, the patient starts walking on tiptoes with short, jerky steps, along with calf cramps, muscle stiffness, and exaggerated knee and ankle jerks. In stage 3, called one stick, a crossed scissor like gait develops, and muscular stiffness now requires the support of one walking stick to maintain balance. In stage 4, called two stick, there is severe bending of the knees with crossed legs requiring 2 crutches for support, and the gait becomes slow, clumsy, with extreme fatigue setting in rapidly. Finally, in stage 5, called crawler, an erect posture becomes completely impossible due to severe atrophy of the thigh and leg muscles, and the patient is forced to crawl using their hands, buttocks, and heels. Let us now differentiate the two forms of this pathology more closely. Neurolathyrism targets humans, primarily young males between 15 and 45 years, and is caused by the grass pea plant Lathyrus sativus. The toxin responsible is BOA or ODAP, and the pathology involves central nervous system damage where excitatory overstimulation of central motor pathways leads to irreversible spastic paralysis. On the other hand, Osteolathyrism, also called odoratism, targets animals and is caused by the sweet pea plant Lathyrus odoratis. Its toxin is BAPN, and its pathology involves connective tissue damage, inhibiting the enzyme lysyl oxidase and leading to skeletal deformities. In the laboratory, this toxin is detected through 3 key protocols. The first is the ninhydrin reaction, which utilizes a chemical reaction where the presence of the BOAA toxin induces a distinct colorimetric shift, turning the sample a deep purple with the shift measured at 570 nanometers. The second is electrophoresis, which separates molecular compounds based on their size and charge, effectively isolating the specific beta-ODAP structures from other amino acids present. The third is bioassays, which are biological methods using in vivo testing in animal models to confirm the neuroexcitant properties and establish exact toxicity thresholds. Unfortunately, once clinical paralysis has set in, the destruction of the central motor pathways becomes permanent, and there is no direct cure. Medical intervention at this stage is limited entirely to supportive care, physical therapy, and neurological rehabilitation. However, there is a fleeting window of hope. During the very earliest stages, damage can sometimes be repaired or prevented through the administration of high dose ascorbic acid, that is vitamin C, given at 500 to 1000 milligrams per day for about a week, as has been demonstrated in animal models. At the community level, several defense strategies exist to reduce this risk, since the ODAP toxin is fortunately water soluble. The first method at the household level is steeping, where the pulse is soaked in boiling water for 2 hours. The toxic water is completely drained and the pulse is washed and sun dried, though this does come with a trade off of significant loss of essential vitamins, minerals, and taste. The second method at the industrial level is parboiling, an improved technique modeled after the way parboiled rice is prepared. And this is optimized for large scale community detoxification without severe nutrient loss. The third method at the chemical level is lime water treatment, where the pulse is soaked overnight in lime water, that is calcium hydroxide, which can easily be sourced from betel leaf preparation followed by boiling. The advantage of this method is that it destroys both the ODAP neurotoxin and harmful trypsin inhibitors at the same time. As a general rule of dietary harm reduction, when complete avoidance is not possible, grass pea consumption should be strictly limited to less than 25% of total daily cereal intake and should be mixed with grains rich in sulfur amino acids to help protect the body. Bringing all of this together, we arrive at what can be called the eradication framework, which works across 3 levels. At the individual and medical level, the focus is on supportive physical rehabilitation, vitamin C prophylaxis, and keeping individual dietary limits below 25%. At the community and agricultural level, the focus shifts to widespread public education and the adoption of steeping, parboiling, and lime water detoxification methods at the village scale. But the deepest and most important level is systemic, addressing the root cause itself, which means eradicating exploitative payment in kind systems like the zamindari system, breeding and distributing low toxin strains such as those developed by IARE New Delhi with only 0.1% toxin content, enforcing the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, and providing genuine economic upliftment along with alternate safe foods during regional droughts. As we close, remember this important truth. Lathyrism is not a failure of the human body, but a failure of the socio-economic safety net, and true eradication must begin at the root. Hope you have understood about Lathyrism. If you found this video useful, please like and share with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.